magazine on Eurosport. All the latest from Formula One. Every Wednesday, a roundup of analysis and commentary of the weekend's Grand Prix. The teams, the drivers, the mechanics, the engineers, everything that makes the Grand Prix go. Formula One, the Grand Prix magazine, Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Eurosport.
Oil, world champion.
Hello, this is Ben Edwards with this week's edition of Formula One Grand Prix here on Eurosport. Today we review the entire French Grand Prix weekend, starting out with qualifying and the battle between the top teams, which had taken advantage of the 3-week gap between Montreal and Magny Cours to fit in extensive testing. Hot, dry weather on both days saw a battle developing between Williams and Benetton for pole, with a final outcome decided in the last few minutes of the 2 hours of qualifying. In addition, we'll be bringing you stories from the race, explanations from drivers, and the latest situation in the championship. But we start with stories that developed before the cars even took to the track, in particular the sealing of Minardi equipment on the Thursday. Magny Cours, the scene of the French Grand Prix, and a few introductions this year. One of the most notable ones, a new protective barrier in the pit lane with gaps in between each section, just large enough to get the pit board through for signalling to the drivers. New cars at 40 Cours as well, at least a new monocoque for Pedro Diniz and a new high nose for both cars. The new monocoque weighing some 10 kilograms less than the older car. But the main story of the Thursday preceding the event concerned the sealing of Minardi equipment by court officials after Flavio Briatore took out an injunction against the team for alleged non-payment of a bill for leasing Ford engines in 1993. Minardi had leased the ex-Tom Walkinshaw sports car team engines from an Irish company, Grand Prix Engineering, a company partly owned by Flavio Briatore and Walkinshaw himself, and had been in the process of paying off the bill in instalments until the dispute with Briatore over who had the right to use Mugen engines blew up over last winter.
The legal actions, there's been a lot of legal letters going back and forward to Minardi now for almost 2 years, 1.5 years at least. We asked for payment in March, and we were promised that we would get payments.
The payment was related to the engines
for 1993. It's a substantial sum of money. It's a 7-figure sum of money.
Six figures?
7.
The dispute would mean no running for Minardi team cars on Friday and some high-level discussions in the paddock. One of our team caught up with Giancarlo Minardi. We're saying, well, things are in order, we'll be able to talk more about it. I know you like me, but let me do my job. It's something that couldn't have been predicted. It's all part of the game, however. Let's get through to the end, and after that we'll talk about it. Walkinshaw said that a solution could be found. I don't know, Mr. Walkinshaw, was Giancarlo Minardi's answer. So the dispute rumbled on during Friday, with a session being held at the court in Nevers, a few miles north say had not started perfectly with an hydraulic pump problem in the morning, but he put that behind him to set the fastest time by just 29 thousandths over his teammate. David Coulthard was driving a Grand Prix car for the first time in an official session at Magny Cours. His circuit knowledge gained from his Formula 3000 days, however, meant he was quickly on the pace and revelling in a car improved from recent testing.
Improvement for Williams. What's about the balance of the car? Was good?
Yeah, the balance isn't too bad. Maybe low speed we have a little bit of a problem, but high speed the car's working well. The new engine from Renault is performing very well. And, you know, I think this has helped us with certainly in relation to Ferrari.
I asked Williams technical director Patrick Head about the improved form.
I think it's not really that we've changed the car very much. There's one or two tiny little things, but there's nothing major. It's just really the it has been a good car right from the start, and once or twice we haven't got the best out of it. But saying that, it's very early days for this Grand Prix. Long way to go before.
Schumacher, fastest in the morning free practice, was only third come the official session, was not entirely happy with the balance of the car. Sporting its new airbox and engine cover design in France, and along with the Williams duo, using the revised Renault RS7B engine. Flavio Briatore saying we didn't go out at the right time in the qualifying session, but tomorrow we'll try to improve things. And of course the race is a different matter on Sunday.
Domani sicuramente cercheremo di far meglio e poi la corsa è alla domenica.
We said it was a shame for Johnny Herbert. He said, yeah, because the lap that he didn't manage to finish was well on the pace with Schumacher. Tomorrow we'll improve things.
Però va bene, domani miglioreremo tutti e due. Ciao.
Gerhard Berger went off at the end of the session, clipping the curve at the Imola chicane and taking a ride across the gravel and then the grass as well. The experienced Austrian was unconcerned about the incident, but ended the session in fourth position, half a second behind Hills Williams, and apparently struggling to find a handling balance. We asked him if it meant a step backwards for Ferrari.
No, I think we missed half second in the last race, and we missed half second here, but Williams or Renault brought a new engine in, so I think I'm not that worried. We are in the moment a half second to 7 tenths behind, and we are working very hard to improve this gap.
It's a gap impossible to improve, impossible to catch tomorrow.
Not here. No, not here. We can find maybe a bit better setup or else, but no, we're not going to do a gap of a half second compared to the others.
John Lacey was as impressive to watch as ever, determined to back up that win in Canada with a good performance in front of his home fans. But he also was struggling to find a comfortable balance, in spite of several days testing at Monza in the meantime. He ended the session fifth fastest, provisionally on the third row of the grid for the sixth time this year. Well, before we came here, we tested at another track, that was Monza. So physically, there's not much difference coming here. The main thing is the added pressure.
La seule chose que je m'attends ici, c'est beaucoup de pression, c'est-à-dire le public attend beaucoup de moi.
The spectators expect a lot from me, but I think at the end of the day, I'll be able to finish well. There's intense concentration here, so I'd be lying if I said I was relaxed, but I'm definitely not so wound up as to make mistakes. Olivier Panis, another Frenchman in home territory, was also able to enjoy the benefits of running on his team's designated test track. The Ligier team was planning to celebrate its 300th Grand Prix in this its 20th year in style, and things started well with Martin Brundle setting sixth fastest time and Panis a fraction behind in seventh. Well, it's true that it's good for Ligier. We've worked very hard. We still have plenty to do. But what's good is that the gap is reducing. I'm a bit disappointed because I made a mistake on the third run, but there's still tomorrow, and I hope we can improve then. I also caught up with Martin Brundle after the session. Martin, good effort today on the home circuit. How much of that is an advantage?
Well, it certainly helps. I mean, we're 8 tenths off a pole. That's much closer than we've been all season. I was probably hoping to be on the second row of the grid today. Third row is not too bad. We can change the car. And this circuit is as strange to us today as it is for anybody, because we have tested it about 7 or 8 days this year, but it's never been anything like as hot as this. The track surface temperature is at least 50% higher than anything we've seen this year.
So there we see the positions after the first qualifying session. Behind Olivier Panis, Johnny Herbert 8th, Rubens Barrichello 9th, and Mika Hakkinen, the leading McLaren, in 10th place. Just ahead of Eddie Irvine and Mark Blundell, the McLarens and Jordans very evenly matched here at Magny Cours. We'll be back with Formula 1 Grand Prix. Welcome back to the story of the French Grand Prix, and after the hearing in Nevers, the injunction on the Minardi team was temporarily lifted on Saturday and the garage doors could be unlocked. A bailiff appointed by the court remained present in the pit all day, but at least Luca Badoer and Pierluigi Martini could get on with the job of qualifying, having lost valuable track time. As promised, Giancarlo Minardi explained the situation further. Well, Grand Prix Engineering is asking for payment of £2,100,000 because I didn't honour my instalments. I had planned on £700,000 in agreement with Grand Prix Engineering and Flavio Briatore. A part has already been paid and £430,000 remained to be paid. A part had not been paid because of a dispute with these people. At the time I had better relations with Flavio Briatore, and even when he asked for the payment I told him to wait a little, and well, what's happened is what's happened. Concerning the motors Mugen Honda, things have grown more tense and we've thus come to blows. It's not true that we've received demands for payment. One day I received an injunction to pay 20 days ago, and in England I called for an appeal because I don't feel that the sum being asked is what I really owe. The team members were delighted to get back to work, and in spite of their lack of running, the cars ended up 17th and 20th, with Luca Badoer only 4/10 slower than the second Sauber Ford of Jean-Christophe Bouillon. Saturday morning began badly for Alesi, however, stopping on his very first lap with a hydraulic problem which couldn't be cured even for the second part of free practice. Ligier were again looking good, and at the end of the first 45 minutes of free practice, Olivier Panis was fastest. The scene was set for a tremendous final hour of qualifying. Damon Hill hoping to keep pole, Michael Schumacher pulling out the stops to snatch it away. In the end, a last-ditch attempt by Schumacher failed, and Damon Hill took his hat-trick of poles at Magny Cours following a great lap.
Yeah, it was tense because Michael had a set that he'd saved, so there was every chance that he could improve on his previous run, but for whatever reason he didn't, and of course I'm pleased that he didn't, but I thought he'd be hard-pushed to beat that time because I knew it was a good lap. And the car's good, and I've got to thank Williams and Renault for all the hard work they've done.
Schumacher then on the front row alongside his main rival.
And for the race I'm looking confident now.
Okay. Car?
She's handling better, much better than yesterday, so I'm quite happy.
Okay.
Coulthard ended up third fastest, 7/10 slower than Hill on this occasion, but happy with the improvement in the car.
Yeah, we made some improvements at the Silverstone test, and we also have the new Renault engine, which you can see in comparison to Ferrari, who were very close to us at some of the other circuits, has helped. And overall, it was, it's made a big improvement.
An improvement for Jean Alesi in both time and position, moving to fourth on the grid, but not the front row position he was seeking so desperately here in France. This afternoon, it was a bit like running blind after the lack of running this morning. We managed to do some fine-tuning, which allowed me to gain one place, but it's still difficult starting from the second row. Rubens Barrichello put in his best performance of the year with 5th fastest time, using the new Evo 2 Peugeot engine to good effect. Forgetting left-foot braking, plus that second place in Canada, all seemed to help.
After a good result in Canada, when you relax, the team is relaxed and the engine and everything, you can do a much better job. And I'm back to the old times now. I could really drive the car relaxed, and I was a good lap.
Behind Barrichello, Olivier Panis' 6th place was by far his best performance of the season. Martin Brundle had thrown away his chance of improving with an off on his first lap, but even so, both Ligiers were in the top 10.
Well,
today I think the team has done some really good work. This morning in the untimed practice as well. In qualifying, I think we didn't manage things as we should have. It's a shame that Martin ran off the track because I think the 2 cars would have been in the top 6. So afterwards I let him use my car to try to get a good time, but it wasn't really adapted to his driving. It's a shame. I think tomorrow the race will be long and we'll put in a good effort. Gerhard Berger dropped to 7th place, just ahead of Mika Häkkinen, still struggling somewhat in the McLaren, but retaining his sense of humour.
My number is 8 and position is 8. I tell you, that was difficult to get. That was my tactics for the qualifying. No, it was one very clear message. It's 2 seconds of the pole position, which means how do I feel, how is the car, and how do I feel personally? Well, that doesn't feel so good at the moment, which means the gap is too high. Gap is too big, and we know that. We had some problems in the car, what we are 100% realizing and understand, and we just have to fix them.
So let's take a look at the grid compared with Montreal. Damon Hill on pole, up 1 place, Schumacher down 1, Coulthard no change, and Jean Alesi up 1 position from Canada. Rubens Barrichello up 4 places on Montreal, Panis up 5, Berger down 3, and Häkkinen down 1. Martin Brundle up 5 places, Johnny Herbert down 4, Eddie Irvine down 3, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen no change. Marc Blundell down 3 places, Mika Salo up 1, Jean-Christophe Bouillon up 3, and Gianni Morbidelli down 3 places. Luca Badoa 2 places up on Canada, Taki Inoue up 4 places, Katayama down 3, and Pierluigi Martini down 2. No change for Andrea Montermini, 2 places down for Bertrand Gachot, up 1 for Diniz, and down 1 for Moreno. And so to the start of the French Grand Prix, 72 laps and in front of 71,000 spectators. Watch the 3rd row, Rubens Barrichello and Olivier Panis. Did they jump the start? Well, it's pretty difficult to see it on the TV coverage, but the sensors said they did, and they would be on for 10-second penalties later on. Damon Hill making a great start. Coulthard demoted to 4th by Barrichello.
The problem was at the start, I got close to Michael at the start and then I had to slow down because there was no place to pass, and then Rubens passed me around the outside, and then I was stuck behind him because he was quick in the slowish corners and also quicker than me onto the main straight, so I would drop back and I wasn't able to pass him.
Mika Häkkinen shot off across the gravel at the Imola chicane, dropping from 7th place to 10th position, and in the meantime Johnny Herbert got past Jean Alesi. On board, Michael Schumacher chasing Damon Hill, and the top 2 beginning to pull away very, very quickly. On board, Jean Alesi challenging Johnny Herbert for 6th place into the Adelaide hairpin. Dive down the inside, Herbert went to take the corner, and there was contact between them. Johnny not too pleased with Alesi's tactics afterwards, and in fact Johnny would have been penalised for a jump start had he continued. Let's just take another look at the accident. Johnny Herbert turning in wide, Alesi not quite there, contact between them, and Johnny Herbert spun round. Martin Brundle just sneaking through on the right-hand side of the picture and taking that 6th place. Well, that's when we heard that the jump start penalties were applying to Rubens Barrichello and to Olivier Panis. In they came to make the stop and back out, losing a lot of ground. We spoke to Rubens afterwards about the penalty and the jump start.
I didn't jump the start. I put first and the car jumped forward because I had to keep very high revs because of the pressure on the valve, on the pump valve. So it jumped forward, but I started when it was green. I never moved before that. So, you know, it's a pity because I'm not saying that I could arrive on the podium, but 4th for sure, because the speed that I was carrying, 4th was quite good.
Olivier Panis says, well, I think it spoils all the work of the team, which has worked so hard all weekend. And in addition to that, it didn't even help me gain a position. Jean got off to a bad start, so I only passed him. If one day I decide to jump the start, I guarantee I won't be fifth round the first corner, so it seems a bit much. So Michael Schumacher then into the pits for his first pit stop on lap number 19. A superb stop, 8.6 seconds. David Coulthard in 1 lap later, lap 20. Several other cars in on that lap as well, including Jean Alesi and Mika Häkkinen. In the meantime, Damon Hill had continued round, but he'd got stuck in traffic, and this was an absolutely crucial part of the race. Hill coming in on lap 21, but he'd already lost time to Schumacher by being stuck in the traffic, and the pit stop a fraction slower as well. By the time everybody had come out and it had all settled down, Schumacher's lead was over 7 seconds. Suddenly, it looks as though the French Grand Prix was all over. Gerhard Berger had a nightmare of a stop when the Ferrari crew could not get the fuel line to engage. He came into the pits in 5th place. He went out in 17th.
Big problem of fueling after I was behind Blandro, impossible to pass. And it was not worth to take any chance because I couldn't get into the points and I didn't want to destroy a car or something. So I just pushed him to make a mistake. He didn't make a mistake, so I finished like this.
Later in the race, and the sight of rain seeing everybody cover up a little bit. That was just when Damon Hill came in to take his second stop, but he went for slick tyres anyway, lap 43. We could see the rain from Michael Schumacher's onboard camera, but he would wait a few laps before he came in, and the rain did not fall any heavier. David Coulthard came in on lap 46, and Jean Alesi came in from 5th position. Michael Schumacher came in on lap 47. There was a slight problem with one front wheel, but he lost barely any time. Meanwhile, Gerhard Berger was trying to get past Mark Blundell, diving down the inside into the Adelaide hairpin, but not quite getting through. Jean Alesi was catching up this pairing, and soon, in fact, split Berger and Blundell, and was trying to find his own way past Blundell. This not a fight for position, this simply a lapping situation. Alesi using all the curve and a bit more to try and get past, and it wasn't until a couple of corners later that Blundell let him through. Up front, however, Michael Schumacher was making it look like a very easy Sunday afternoon drive. The lead was gradually stretching, and Damon Hill seemed to be unable to provide a challenge. Meanwhile, Alesi in trouble trying to lap Luca Badoa, waving at him while still getting it all crossed up. How about that for car control? Well, Luca Badoa saying, well, yeah, with that gesture, he certainly risked hitting me. We were very close. I think it's better to concentrate on the race, to hold the wheel with both hands. I think it would be better for everyone. Martin Brundle involved in a battle for 3rd place with David Coulthard, and Brundle on a 3-stop race, unlike most of the others on 2 stops.
It's just a few tenths of a second. I tried to pass him in the last corner, but it was not really possible. It was, we're just in the pit stops. We were a bit unlucky with traffic in the middle stint before the second stop. It cost me some time, and this was the difference between 3rd and 4th. But anyway, I'm happy for Ligier on the 300th race for them, and I'm happy for me, of course.
Cesare Fiorio saying, well, there were only 2 cars faster than the Ligier on the track, those being Schumacher and Hill, but we were faster than Coulthard, faster than the Ferraris all the race. We were in front of them in general terms, and faster than the Jordans. I think we've run an excellent race. I think that I've concluded my year with Ligier in good terms, and I hope I'm leaving a team in top form. And Alesi in 5th. Which says the car didn't allow me to attack and to get a good result. So I sort of wallowed throughout the race. I'm sorry. I took 2 points, but really to have been 5th in the French Grand Prix, I didn't expect that, and I feel really bad about it. So win number 4 this season going to Michael Schumacher, and his 2nd in succession at Magny. It was another brilliant performance in terms of both pace and tactics.
A good win of the race, so altogether I'm really satisfied.
So the result then, Schumacher from Hill, Coulthard on the podium, then Martin Brundle, Jean Alesi and Rubens Barrichello taking the final point. In the Constructors' Championship, Benetton Renault take the lead by 5 points over for Ferrari, and Schumacher now has an 11-point lead over Damon Hill. So Renault took the top 3 places on the podium for the first time. The battle begins again at Silverstone on July the 16th. Read about the build-up in Autosport magazine, then watch it here on Eurosport.